Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we got a really big video. Not only am I shooting in the Falterbach HQ for the very first time, I'm also unboxing the One Wheel GT. I've been waiting for this thing since October and it's finally here and I'm super excited to open this box. Stay tuned. So just a quick backstory as far as the One Wheel goes. This is my first One Wheel. I have ridden a One Wheel before thanks to my friends. They have One Wheels, are big on One Wheels, and one of my friends, Drew, he just got his One Wheel. He did say something about the foot pad sensor being bad, so I'm probably gonna have to call him up to test ride this thing first, but he did say the ride is amazing aside that point. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start getting into this. I literally been waiting. Honestly, the package nicely taped up together, nicely sealed. Oh shoot, this thing's pretty heavy. Wow. Alright, so here it is in all its glory, the One Wheel GT. This thing is freaking awesome. Alright, let's do this. And here it is right out of the box. And my god, for a One Wheel, this thing's quite heavy, but I'm excited. I'm really excited. Alright, let's get into it. The next level is here. Nice, really good packaging. I gotta give it to Future Motion for that. Oh shoot, that is insane. Alright, nice handle, comes with a handle already. This thing is heavy, charger included. Let's get this box off of here. And there it is. Wow, well, this is pretty sick for a One Wheel. This is actually pretty nice. Okay, so when you order the One Wheel, it comes with a charger. You can opt in for a bigger charger. This charger will ensure your One Wheel charges a lot faster, but I went with the standard charger because I honestly I'm probably going to plug it in at night. I'm never going to really go on those One Wheel cruises that everyone in the community goes to, but never say never, I might actually end up attending one. After riding this thing for a minute. So, couple things. This thing's pretty heavy. I think it's about a solid 40 pounds. Let's see. It's not light at all. It's really heavy. This wheel is pretty nice. So my friend did say that one of these foot pads are pretty much, the sensor's not working, so we'll go ahead and see about that. Nice little grip up here, really nice grip. And shoot, how do we turn it on? I think there's a button right there, and there you go, on. Alright, well, let's go for a ride.
More power, more torque.
Alright guys, so I just got back from my first ride on the GT and I fell and I busted my ankle. Yeah. Regardless of that, there were a couple things I should have done before hopping on the One Wheel. So take it as a learning lesson from my oopsie, and basically what the first thing you should do when you get this One Wheel out of the box is download the app, sync your One Wheel to the app. There are a couple settings and modes in that app. Pick whatever suits best for you. After doing that, I recommend installing the bumpers and guards. And after doing that, I recommend installing bumpers, fenders, guards that you have purchased for this. I did not do it. I have a box sitting off the camera over there that has my fender guards, bumpers that I should have put on when I first took this out of the box. Now, I didn't know that those cover this piece right here. I thought it replaces it. So I thought, okay, let me just beat up whatever I got out of the box initially, and then when I get my one wheel situated and everything, I can install my bumper guard and everything. After installing all of your covers and everything, the next thing you need to do is decrease the tire pressure on this wheel. Now, first thing I have to say is when I hopped on this for the first time, I'm used to riding a XR that has a flat wheel. By flat, I mean over here, the surface area that touches the ground is flat. The GT has a completely different wheel, and Future Motion decided they were gonna basically hold the market to their will and needs, and they were gonna go ahead and make a wheel that only fits on the GT. So that XR wheel wouldn't fit on this GT, meaning right now this is the only wheel we can ride on. And the problem with that is this wheel is actually shaped more like an egg than it is flat. What does that mean for the ride? Now, for the ride, what that basically means is it gets wobbly. So when you're on this, it kind of gets like this a lot more easily, which is what happened to me. Now, I tried to slow down as much as possible before dismounting, and where I messed up was I was on the board, it got wobbly, I tried to slow it down, and I dismounted, but this one stayed on, and for those of you who know, the board keeps going, and this board kept on going, and now I have twice the ankle I used to have. So, a good rule of thumb to go by, and when you're first taking this out of the box, is to decrease the tire pressure. My tire pressure was 21 psi. That is extremely high, and it was a solid rock. We've decreased it down to 14 psi. By we, I mean I have two friends that are completely into one wheels, and they're the people that I've been learning all this one wheel stuff from, both Javon and Drew, and you'll see them in the B-roll footage of them riding their one wheels, and they both have easily over 100 miles, over not even 100, maybe 1,000 miles on their XRs, not even combined, that's each person. So their opinions I can value very well, especially Drew's, because Drew has had his GT, he had gotten his before Javon or I, and Drew basically said that this thing compared to the XR is like a night and day difference. Now, what does that night and day difference look like in real life? Well, this thing has more torque initially, so going uphill you will have less slippage and more power going up. This thing also has a higher top speed, a bigger battery, and a lot more cool features that come with it compared to the XR. Now, from what Drew has told me, as far as the GT goes, he basically pretty much said this thing is pretty dope, and that there are a couple cool features that this thing has, like I mentioned earlier, the amount of torque and the top speed. He was able to take this to a car rental place to pick up a car, and that's about 6 miles away from where he lives, and he was going about 20 miles per hour with, basically what he said was he didn't even feel like he was going 20, and he was feeling the pushback, and he was like, huh, this is interesting. So he whips out his phone, checks out the speed, and he's like, oh, I'm going 20. Regardless, he went 20 miles per hour for about 6 miles, got to the place, and came back home on the one-wheel GT, which is quite impressive because on the Pint you get like, what, 9 miles, and even then that's not even at top speed, and the XR is something like about 15 miles. So the fact that this thing can go a lot faster than both of those is quite impressive, and the battery life can last a lot longer. Now that also means this board is a lot heavier, so when you do ride this thing and you do like not dismount correctly, you're gonna get hurt, and you're gonna get hurt pretty bad. So this being my first one wheel, I should have practiced a little bit more on a Pint or an XR, but they, both Drew and Javon said that it was probably best that I started off on the GT because the GT has more of that options that are like, it's more easier to ride beside the tire problem. Another problem that Drew had noticed when his board came in is the front foot pad sensor was basically not working correctly. So, for those of you who don't know, the way you basically dismount on a one wheel is you try to get to a stop, lift your heel up, and then the one wheel stops. You can set it like this, and then you can dismount properly. What happened with him is he basically lifted his heel and the board kept going. Faulty foot pad sensor. So if you have a faulty foot pad sensor, test that out first, and then email Future Motion, and they will be able to send you a new foot pad sensor, and they're pretty easy to install. Now with all that being said, compared to the XR, going past 16 miles per hour on the GT, it makes you feel a lot more comfortable going faster compared to the XR. The XR would make you feel like you're about to nosedive, so there is a bit more confidence when riding the GT, which is great because I believe even a heavily modified XR can't compete with this thing, of course, minus the tire. Another thing that I have noticed that Javon actually pointed out to me was that the GT is actually a Pint, but enlarged. So what he means by that, the XR's chassis was a lot different than the GT. And the Pint, that chassis is a lot different than the XR's. And what that basically means is that the Pint, being the newest one wheel from Future Motion, they use that chassis, enlarge it, and put it on the GT. So if you look at the rails over here, and the face over here, even the handles from a Pint, all of that is Pint but enlarged. As far as the chassis feels, this still needs to be put to the test a little bit more. I know for Drew, he's a really tall guy, and with height equals more weight, so he goes out and he jumps when he's off-roading on that thing. And he's told me a couple times that he was able to actually bend the frame on the XR. So he's gone through a couple frames on his XR. He's heavily modified his one wheels. That's certainly, there's no judging that. So as far as chassis goes, he said he still needs to ride it a little bit more, but so far he feels pretty confident riding it. Jumping on it, I'm not so sure. I mean, this feels pretty sturdy, but at the same time, it doesn't. So only time will tell. We will see how sturdy this chassis is when you go off-roading. And well, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it wasn't much of a review compared to my Onyx review, but this thing is pretty cool, and once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty convenient going around places, especially in highly dense populated areas like Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Francisco, etc. So I 100% recommend learning on one first before buying it. And if you are a part of the Float Life crew, chances are you already have one. And if you don't have one, what are you doing? You need to get one. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.